My fiance and I joined a group of our friends over on a trip to Iceland, and here were some of our many adventures along the way. So after landing, we immediately went to Reykjavik with only about 2 hours of sleep behind us. Yeah, it was a bit of a rough first day, but that's alright. We got to explore around, look at some of the cute little shops along the way, and even try out some of the local cuisine, which was really good. And for someone like me who loves fish, there's no shortage of that in Iceland. And of course, while I'm here, I did have a goal by the end of the trip to try out some fermented shark. After spending a good amount of time exploring the capital city of Iceland, we decided there was one more very important thing to take care of. You know, while I'm there, I gotta go to Baldur's Gate.
There it is. There it is, babe. What do you think?
What happens in the game? I don't know.
Bad things happen in the game. Bad things.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they call it Baldur's Gata, but it's Baldur's Gate. And look, we've got a cool picture underneath the sign. One thing that I can't get over here is how beautiful the scenery is. Literally the entire time that we were driving around, whether it be between different cities or even going all the way to the Airbnb, which is pretty much as far in the middle of nowhere as you could possibly be, along the way, it was just beautiful to look out the window. With no shortage of mountains that I can only imagine is in the hundreds, if not over 1,000 different peaks, tons of streams and rivers, and just a general beautiful views. Okay, we just made it to the Airbnb, and if there's one thing that I've realized about Iceland so far, is that it's pretty much always raining. I think at all times of the day. On top of that, too, it is also just, in general, such a beautiful country. I mean, there's just so many mountains. Even the open plains are nice as well. And, of course, along the way, you're bound to see some crazy things you're not going to see back in either the U.S. or even most parts of Europe, for that matter, because there's just a lot of volcanic activity that has happened over thousands and thousands of years. For instance, there's craters you can find along the way that you can actually go explore, and just even walking around, you'll find volcanic rock just, I don't know, lying around. It's pretty dang awesome. In fact, here's one right here, for instance. I'm gonna feel really dumb if that's not actually a volcanic rock, and that's just a regular rock, and that my brain is a rock. But I'm pretty sure it's a volcanic rock. Either way, let me show you around a little bit of the Airbnb. All right, so this is the spot right here. We have 8 people with us, so the place is decently sized big. It pretty much makes up for it with that second floor going up there, which is also something I've noticed about a lot of the homes around the area here. A lot of ranch-style homes people go for, so just single floor, not really doing the dual floor thing. And then on top of that, we have a hot tub on the back here, which is amazing. There's a river here. Do not ask me what river. There are too many rivers in this country. I cannot remember all of them, and I am an idiot. So, there's also horses back there. Gotta love them. Hey, what are they doing now? It's raining. Look inside. Get out of here. Scram. Don't actually. They're very pretty. Oh, I actually just realized as well, I can hear water running from over here. I think... Oh, dude, I didn't even notice that till right now, that there was a smaller stream that comes out, like right there. It's also really hot. I don't know if I should touch that. That's another thing, too. You don't know what water you're supposed to touch and not touch because of all the geothermal vents. I don't know if that's a touch or do not touch, but assuming because of the steam, that might be a do not touch. That very well could be a do not touch. So as we enter the place, there's, I think, 5 different bedrooms in this cottage. There's even a really cute upstairs area that had a loft with a TV in it and some couches to relax on. And then as you walked on downstairs, we had a couple more bedrooms, a laundry room, a bathroom, and then after all of that as well, we had our own living room and kitchen to explore. Now, if you don't know a lot about Iceland, one thing that everyone loves to say is how expensive some of the different grocery products can be there. And they're not entirely wrong. I mean, to be fair, a lot of what they get has to be imported from overseas. So, of course, there's going to be a price tag associated with that. However, they make up for it with a lot of locally produced goods. And believe it or not, their greenhouses are so powerful, there's even some instances of people that grow bananas on Iceland. Now, when all was said and done and we actually got the bill for the groceries, I was kind of pleasantly surprised.
Or maybe unpleasantly. It could just be the fact that inflation back home has gotten so bad that it's now at par with everywhere else in the world, or like even importing stuff over to Iceland. But I didn't find the prices of the goods to be that astronomical for the most part. I mean, everything seemed pretty much on par. And in fact, some things that would normally cost us a lot because they were imported from, let's say, Europe, were actually even cheaper. I don't know. Kind of caught it as a pleasant surprise for me. I guess I had just overhyped it in my head how expensive everything really was here. That being said, though, gas, you guys got to get that under control. Your guys' gas prices are astronomical. And as if there couldn't have been a more scenic ending to the day, of course, some horses decided to show up just across the river from us. And they were pretty much there for the entirety of the trip, which was just amazing and made this already scenic adventure that much more special. Now, it's no secret that Iceland is known for having insane geysers, hot springs, and so much more. And so we decided to go over to the geyser that literally coined the term geyser. The only sad part about it is that actually this geyser is pretty inactive nowadays, and it doesn't actually shoot off from the ground. However, just around the surrounding area, there's no shortage of ones that do, and we even caught one on camera. Not that it's like a big feat. I mean, the thing was blowing every like few minutes, so it was a lot more common than you think. And of course, for something like that, it was surrounded by tourists like us, all trying to get that magical picture. Honestly, I was kind of surprised how close you could get, because I know the stuff that comes out is supposedly extremely hot. I don't know, I guess by the time it launches in the air, then cools down and lands, maybe it's not, I don't know. Don't go touching it if you ever go there. That's all I'm saying. And the good part is that this was only a small portion of our nature adventures that day. And so we set out for Gullfoss to try and get as close as possible to a waterfall that we could. Upon arriving to Gullfoss, you had a long walk ahead of you to try and explore this waterfall. But honestly, it was so worth it. The views were absolutely beautiful and amazing, and it really is quite humbling when you're beside something of this stature. I mean, really, this thing is humongous. Yet at the same time, I have to admit, there's nothing more peaceful to me than running water, especially underneath a waterfall. After departing from the waterfalls, we ended up riding on some horses. The way I said that makes it sound more spontaneous than it was. We've had this planned for weeks, but we did go horseback riding in Iceland. The only problem is, like the rest of the time that we were there, it was very cloudy, very rainy, and very cold, which does not make for the best riding experience. But we did it. No one fell off, although my fingers did feel like they were going to, and we survived the entire thing. Although I don't think any of us had any idea what was going on, and my horse would not stop farting the entire time. I'm not kidding you. Everyone was looking at me. It wasn't me. Maybe one or two was me.
Good doggy.
So today is one of the earliest days of the trip. We're up at about like 7:30 and getting ready to go out. Now, the interesting part of everything is that it is, in fact, still light out. In fact, the time of year we came, which is in June, I think it's supposed to be light like 22, maybe something like that hours a day, 20 to 22 hours a day. And it's true. It's the weirdest thing, right? You'll walk outside at like, let's say midnight, and it'll look, I mean, it's not gonna be like bright like this, right? But it's gonna look, you know, like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., like back home or something, right? Like, you know, like a little like before dusk. It's really interesting. And honestly, makes it kind of difficult to sleep, which is why I have a sleep mask on when I'm here. But yeah, I don't know. We're excited. We're going over to a waterfall today. It should be super beautiful. We went to one yesterday as well, but apparently this one you can get a little bit closer to. I'm not sure, to be honest, but I'm just kind of along for the ride. I don't really know what to expect or what to do while in Iceland. So luckily we have people that have actually planned. I don't know if you know this about me. I'm not much of a planner. Birds. Oh, also another fun thing that I learned. There aren't many natural land mammals to Iceland. And by not many, I mean there's only a single one, the Arctic fox. Believe it or not, the other land mammals that live here have all come from other countries. So like even reindeer were imported. Weirdly enough, I read an article online, so I've taken it for what it is, that polar bears sometimes, very rarely, have drifted over from icebergs or like little like, you know, pieces of ice that have fallen off of Greenland. Which like, I knew that they were like semi-close geographically, but that I still like mentally on a map thought they were like a few hundred miles away, so it seems kind of crazy, but take it for what it is. I read an article about that. And then otherwise, it's so interesting to me because you'll see pristine nature just like this, except for the fact that there's just not many animals. Like they're not here. Whereas like in the US, right, you'll see squirrels hopping around, maybe you'll see some deer if you're out in the woods, rabbits, moles, depending on what part of the country you live in, any variation of those, tons of other things, snakes, you name it. Here it's not. So it's the weirdest thing. It's like beautiful natural landscape, minus animals. Once again, before someone tries to correct me, I understand that there are other animals that have been imported here. I get it. But I'm just saying, in general, it seems like there's a lot less life, animal life that is, out here. Which is just, I don't know, something to note.
And so we set out for a brand new waterfall this time, with a special mission in mind. This waterfall was called Skogafoss, and it was so beautiful and allowed you to get really up close and personal with it. And speaking of personal, one of our friends even proposed on the trip, which I don't show any footage of in this because, I don't know, it feels kind of rude to me to, you know, it's their special moment. But yeah, it was really awesome, and I'm really happy for them. And if you wanted to make a long trek all the way up to the top, you totally could to look down, but that was pretty hard to convince the crew to do that, so instead we just admired it from the bottom. But to be fair, I don't really know if even looking straight down on it would even be that great of a view, to be honest. I think we had the better view to begin with. But don't worry, that's not all for the nature today. We had one more stop on our little road trip. And so we made it to the black sand beaches of Iceland. The only problem is it was so incredibly windy that it was actually painful to be on the beach. I'm not kidding you. There was gravel and small pieces of sand flying at you at high speeds, and it actually kind of hurt after a while. Now, as you can imagine, the sand is black. That's why the beach is called Black Sand Beach. And without doing a Google search, just using my big old noggin, the reason I think for that is because of all the volcanic eruptions that had happened over thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Or someone decided to paint every single pebble. I don't know, man. People are crazy. But seriously, though, when I tell you guys it was windy, I genuinely, in my life, can't picture any other time that I've experienced such high winds. Like, I'm not trying to exaggerate, but I really, like, I can't think of anything. Maybe at the top of, like, a ski mountain, but even that, I don't know. It was, like, actually even hard to stand at some points. It was pretty crazy. But luckily enough, after all that, we decided to trek out, go home, change, and then head out for a very nice dinner in downtown Reykjavik, which I still don't know how to pronounce properly. The restaurant we ended up going to was called Kol, K-O-L, and I even made a fan there as well. And the cool part was it was right next to this giant church that pretty much dominates the landscape of the capital city. And there's even a really cool statue in front of the church of Leif Erikson, which apparently was donated by the US. Believe it or not, the US and Iceland have had a very strong relationship over the years, especially even spanning back to World War II. Super interesting if you're a history buff like me. I'd highly recommend reading up about it, but I'm not going to bore everyone else out there that might not be as into history. But just look up Iceland, US, and their relations ever since World War II. It's very interesting to read about.
Well, before we headed out, I decided to get up close and personal with the hot spring next to the Airbnb. And honestly, I don't know if it's like a hot spring or if it's just that it's like very warm compared to the outside air, because you got to keep in mind it's cold here, right? Like, I can see the steam coming off it. That doesn't mean much when it's like 40, 50 degrees outside, right? I'm really tempted to poke it, but I know I shouldn't. But like, maybe... Okay, so I jumped through the woods a little bit, and I found this cute little bridge where that comes down, and the bench as well. I'm pretty confident as well. I put a stick in there, and then I eventually stuck my finger in there, to be honest with you. It's not boiling hot. It literally is just because it is so cold out here, and that's why it steams up like that. But it's not actually, like, hot. It is interesting. Honestly, very beautiful. Okay, so it's our last full day here in Reykjavik. I finally said it correctly. It's not Reykjavik, not to be mistaken. But either way, we had a lot of fun. We went to fly over Iceland. I wish I could have filmed it, but unfortunately there's no cinematography, anything. All I can say is I would recommend it. It was really cool, especially if you're not from the area. But we're ending it off with apparently what is, by some people's opinion, the grossest thing on the menu, which is the fermented shark. So we have that, and it's a miniature water glass. We're gonna try this out. I have heard nothing but terrible things about fermented shark. Literally, to give you an idea, by the way, this was about $10 US. Was this? This little, it's for dumb Americans. So, cheers. Okay.
Thoughts?
That wasn't bad. No, not bad at all. It's pretty good. I would get more of that. I would genuinely, I would get more of that. It was not bad. I was expecting something so terrible.
One weirdo.
It wasn't bad. It was good. It's good.
Was it worth $10?
Not for that little cube, no. But I guess I was just supposed to be for like a gimmick.
Okay.
I would have ordered a whole thing of that. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. Fermented shark good.
And so that more or less ended our trip over to Iceland. But we had such an amazing time there, just exploring all the natural sightings and even going around some of their major cities. Plus, the Icelandic food is absolutely amazing, especially if you love fish. But even if you don't worry, they had other stuff as well. In fact, they absolutely love lamb. No, seriously, like sheep, lamb, all of it. They're all about it. And even at dinner, one of our friends had a little delicacy where they had actual reindeer. Not Santa's, don't worry, I hope. Anyway, well, actually, we got to check up on that. Maybe it was. Don't tell the big man. But that's it. Let me know if you guys want me to do more of these vlogs on our travels in the future. And let me know what I can improve on. I don't know. I just kind of winged this thing. I haven't really done one of these in a long time.
I don't care about what has been. I only care about your soft skin. Cause we're still sleeping in my head. I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what